Sup witches, this is Nine the Hermit, and this week we are talking about the Seven of Swords, the card that's often called the thief card. So some people say that it's a guy who's stealing a bunch of swords from some army camps in the background. But you'll see the books present different definitions for this card, and it's not always seen as a very negative card. For example, for me, at one point, this card can represent like a risky move. At a point, I really did not like a place where I was working and I had to move, and I couldn't stand it anymore, and at the end it felt like I was just running away from it, and I got this card many times in the reading to represent myself in that situation, like looking back, but like with a look back like I don't want to see you. So let's talk about this card from the tarot coloring book's definitions. Let's look. Cunning or craftiness, sneaking into a camp and making off with a bundle of swords. It could be the card of theft. It can also be a sign that somebody is acting on their own. So let's go to the ultimate guide to the Rider-Waite and see what they say about this card. So let's start with something that I really didn't see, and I only saw it when I was coloring. You see in the background of this card, there's a group of people making a fire or something, and there's a cloud of smoke up in the air. Just at the bottom of his legs, the main character's leg, at the back. I actually never saw it, but when I was coloring it, I actually discovered, oh, there's a group there. They're making a fire. Okay, so that was just something I kind of never paid attention to in the card. The depicted figure is running ahead and looking backwards. Either his view, his behavior is displaced, or the image expresses, on the contrary, an undisputable and important aphorism. One has to live life forward, but one can only understand it backwards. This is some quotation they put. Basic meaning. The tens stand for mobile living. They are a warning against being too nomadic in life, always on their way and never at home. And they encourage one to be flexible, to feel at home wherever one happens to be, to accept changes and progress. In a love reading, allow yourself and others to do an irrational, nonsensical, crazy thing. The tens, if we go to the symbols. Negative, unrest, homelessness, a nomadic life, always on their way and never at home. Positive meaning, life keeps moving, peace and continuity in the context of change, feeling at home wherever one may be. 5 and 2 swords, so he has 5 swords in his hands and there's 2 swords behind. You can act according to with that which you can grasp. Negative, you leave something important behind, the 2 swords that belongs to you. Positive, you leave doubts, the 2 swords behind you. Running ahead and glancing back, that's the main figure, a sign of inner conflict. Red shoes and red hat. Red stands for passion, for will, for lifeblood. Positive, an affair of the heart, a heart's desire that one pursues with both willpower and ardor. The yellow background, bright sunlight, but also envy and the search for meaning. Being on the tippy toes can be to develop a way of doing things with care. So being careful when you do things. And if we go to the 78 Degrees of Wisdom by Rachel Pollack for this card, so taking action against problems, a daring act, even a coup that takes the sting out of opposition, an impulsive act when a careful plan is required. He has not attacked the camp, he cannot even carry all the swords. Schemes in action that do not solve anything, sense of isolation involved, he is acting alone, unable or unwilling to get anyone's help. Craftiness. And if we go to the reverse meanings of this card, the isolation turns around to become communication, in particular seeking advice on what to do about one's problems. The card can sometimes refer to the act of finding help, such as consulting a reader or a therapist or friends, and everything depends on the context. Where self-reliance is required, the Seven of Swords reverse can imply an overdependence on others. And from the tarot coloring book, some of the meanings, the stolen goods need to be returned. The theft is discovered. Time to fess up and make things right. That's a nice one. Okay, so that was our Seven of Swords, and the next week we are doing the Eight of Swords.